Syracuse University was the first university to open up their doors and really for the World War II veterans coming back to say, come here, we will educate you. And it was such a beautiful cultural thing to happen for our country, and it was all born right here at Syracuse University.
If you look at the pre and even during World War II period of time, Syracuse University was a school of 7,500 students. And if you look at 1947, 1948, Syracuse University was a school of 16,000, 17,000 students.
To have an organization change itself to welcome vets is pretty unique. I mean, they had to build huts, temporary housing out of nothing on the spot to house tens of thousands of veterans.
And they just made that atmosphere here to say, it's okay, we're going to be here to take care of you. And they did, through money, accommodations, and an awesome education.
And it was because the chancellor of the university at the time, Chancellor Tully, really stepped out in a way that made him a national leader in opening the doors of higher education to veterans returning from World War II. Any veteran that wanted to come was welcome to come. That really set in motion a community and a culture that is supportive of veterans and a legacy that the creation of the Institute for Veterans and Military Families here at Syracuse flows from that long legacy and tradition.
You know, they just took this building over behind us to have not just the Veterans Center, but the Institute for Veterans and Military Families. They put time and money, not just the university, but the alumni, the local and corporate support to really rally and transform Syracuse yet again to support veterans.
Which is exactly what's happening right now with this new generation of veterans coming back. And the thought to say, hey, we have a legacy, let's continue this, and let's provide a really remarkable education, particularly through this EVV program and the other programs out of the Institute.
The EVV program was actually created in 2007. It's a program designed to leverage entrepreneurship and business ownership as a means to create a vocational transition strategy for America's veterans with service-connected disabilities. The idea being that for many veterans with disabilities, traditional employment, the 9-to-5 job, may be a challenge because of some issues that they're facing related to the disability, but business ownership offers the opportunity to craft a vocation that may be complementary to some of those issues or challenges.
I volunteered for a deployment to Iraq in the summer of 2006. As a Marine officer, I was in charge of 8 Marines and a Navy corpsman. I was shot on October 18th of 2006 by an enemy sniper. He shot me behind my left ear and it came out my face and caused catastrophic damage along the way. Later, the doctors were able to use bones from my legs and my hip to replace my upper and lower jaw.
One of the things that after he got out of the hospital that I think he struggled with and his wife struggled with as well was when they would go out in public, people would point or stare or at his face.
It takes a long time for the physical wounds to heal, but there's also a huge mental aspect that goes on for a long time. I'm still dealing with that.
One day they had an idea that, you know what, let's go to the store and we're going to have a t-shirt made and it's just going to say Iraq and back. And you're going to wear that t-shirt next time you go out. And that t-shirt changed his life.
Well, it had the result of people coming up to me and talking to me and asking about my deployment, saying thank you for your service, and just basically welcoming me home and telling me how important I was to them.
Justin turned that into a business. He started a business called Iraq and Back, where he did corporate logoed gear, shirts, polo shirts, hats, all that kind of stuff. But for him, it was that simple idea that he turned into a vocation. And it was one that was more than a vocation because it had personal meaning to him as well.
And the misconception for vets is that they can't do it, but they can. It's scary, it's uncertain, it's a new world for them to transition to, and a lot of times they're alone, but they can do it.
EVV helped prepare me to launch my first small business, and with that came peace of mind and confidence and just really great excitement about going down that road.
Several years into EVV, we started getting phone calls from military family members arguing that the logic of self-employment and business ownership made sense for them, and they wanted to participate in the EVV program. And our response to that was instead to create a second program that we call EVV Families that is modeled after EBV, but instead of being focused on the veteran, it's focused on the military family member.
I felt like we mattered, the spouses and the veteran, and they believed in us. I never thought that I could actually own my own business, and they backed me, 100% of the way with resources and mentors and questions and advice and anything I needed to get this going because they wanted me to succeed.
Operation Endure and Grow is a program that was created for Guard and Reserve members and their families. It's an 8-week online training program that takes individuals through the steps and stages of launching and growing a business. We actually have 2 versions of that. One version we call the startup track of Endure and Grow, and that's for individuals who don't yet have a business but want to start a business. And then the growth track is for individuals who have an existing company and want to leverage the training to support growing that business. VY's program, Veteran Women Igniting the Spirit of Entrepreneurship, that was a program created in partnership with the U.S. Small Business Administration, specifically focused on our community of women vets.
200 women come to one place for 3 days for a mini boot camp in entrepreneurship.
That program is unique and special to me only because we realized as a consequence of our research that women veterans are actually much less likely than men to participate in veteran-focused events.
Even when I heard of this, I thought, and I would bet that most of my female military friends would say the same thing, you don't want to put 200 military women in the same room. But women with women, it doesn't happen that often where they can actually pull together to talk about what we've been through, different challenges that happen with women as opposed to men just serving in the military. It has been a remarkable healing process.
It is a godsend to many women veterans, myself included, because when I left the military several years ago, I was so disconnected. Now wherever I go, I know I am connected with a supportive veteran community again. That empowers me. I didn't have that before EBV and VY, and I'm thankful for it.
When you think of an academic institute, you jump right to research, and one of the things that is unique about this institute is that while we want to cultivate and produce research, we do it with a lens to the practical. I like to describe, rather than the term think tank that's thrown around, I really like to think of what we do as an action tank. We're looking for opportunities to leverage, in this case, academic research, and position in a way where it really does have practical outcomes for this community.
So we have some of the leading experts on trauma and disability studies and employment and health and wellness. And they are all working with us to really leverage their research and not only inform the discussion that's happening around the United States right now in the veteran community, but to help us put in place a true plan of action to help us move forward and overcome these issues and challenges. We also have an employment focus where we partner with private industry and really act as a bridge between private industry and government, NGOs, and other nonprofits to help them develop and execute the best employment strategy for hiring vets, for assimilating vets into the workforce, and ultimately retaining veterans.
The Veterans Technology Program is online training that is focused on preparing veterans for the transition from the military to the corporate workplace. It's delivered at no cost. Don't need to use GI Bill benefits or tuition assistance, voc rehab or anything. It's paid for by a generous grant from JP Chase. And we can help with resumes, cover letters, elevator pitches, interviewing skills, negotiating job offers, things of that nature.
So the idea is for the veteran to really understand that all of those skills that they learned, that he or she gained, whether it was in combat, out of combat, whatever their job was, that man or woman can do amazing things.
Those that are coming out of the military and entering into a civilian culture, whether it's their own business, a small business, a corporation, one of the #1 factors they bring is life experience. They've been out there already. They've either been a leader or they've been a follower or they've been both. So they're already set up for huge success. And when they take those tools into the businesses or their own business, they shine. They're just incredibly successful, and they bring with that, because they do so well, the positive attitude, which affects the culture, which causes things to work better, and now you get into a beautiful positive do loop.
The biggest misconception as it relates to the vets community is one that is honestly perpetuated by media and by television and film, and that is that we seem to put veterans as a community into one of two boxes. Our veterans are either these iconic heroes or they're broken and damaged and living under a bridge. And the reality is 99% of veterans fit neither of those two stereotypes.
I think one of the greatest things that has really happened, and almost every military person to a T would tell you, they're already an entrepreneur. We are giving little money and little guidance on most of the things that we do. We're just told to go make it happen. The ingenuity alone of a military service member is by far greater than I have ever seen in the civilian community.
That's why I think this work is so important. Really all any veteran is looking for is an opportunity. They'll execute on the opportunity. It's just make the opportunity available.